day and welcome to the Wellness Corner. This is a platform where we get well or we get well trying. Today's subject is on generational curses. What do you think of when you hear these words? I can't say when I heard these words, but I heard them at a time when I wasn't mature enough to understand their meaning. I remember saying these words to a family member once and was quickly told that I was not by an elder who I relied on for their Christian faith and knowledge. I come from a very religious family and was raised to respect my elders, so I did not oppose. Instead, I did my research. A generational curse breaker refers to someone who actively works to end toxic patterns and negative behaviors that are passed down through family generations. This concept involves addressing and healing from past traumas, thereby breaking the cycle of misfortune that affects multiple generations. Generational curses can manifest as negative habits or circumstances, and breaking them often requires cautious effort and sometimes professional help. I applied this concept to my situation as someone who actively worked and ended many toxic patterns in my life, starting with my education. I dropped out of school to go to school in another state and graduated, eventually completing a bachelor's degree. I moved and no longer lived in a toxic neighborhood that was unsafe for me and my child. I also started and retired from a career in the military to eliminate any welfare assistance that plagued my family for generations. So what was I not understanding? Well, what I was not understanding is that there is more to breaking generational curses than completing a degree or being the first to make it out of the hood, as they say. To break generational curses, you first have to know who you are in order to be able to see your generational curses for what they are, which are the sins of our father. My generational curse was abandonment issues from being a fatherless child, something I was totally unaware of. This curse of abandonment manifests itself into loveless relationships that left me depressed and insecure. These insecurities made me impulsive, unbalanced, and indecisive. I was in an endless cycle of brokenness, betrayal, trauma, deceit, jealousy, and envy. I stayed arguing and fighting in alleyways at a very early age. I was called crazy, but the only one who understood my raging fire was my grandmother. Although I was a young girl, she knew me. My grandmother passed away in my early 20s, so I remember wearing white at her funeral to illuminate the path along her journey. I mentioned that to say, I love and miss you, Grandma. Now back to the message. I believe my grandmother died of a broken heart. I watched her give everything she had to her children of 13, her church, her extended family members, and even homeless strangers that slept over the house at night. She fed any and everyone. It didn't matter, and they knew it. They always came with an empty bowl, a sob story, or both, but never to return what they already owed her. She gave and received nothing in return. People took from her until the day she passed. I believe my grandmother also suffered from abandonment. Although I have no proof, but I watched her take care of us as a single mother, and and it was a lot of us. I would sometimes hear her crying alone at night. I grew up to be pretty smart, but I did not know being abandoned by my father would be an issue, let alone a curse. But the more I became enlightened, the brighter the demons became. I started to realize that my large family is poorer than necessary. It did not make sense to me why majority of the women in my family were not married and struggled with relationships. They struggled financially, physically, emotionally, and especially mentally. As I examined my life, I realized I have some, if not all, of the same traits. I addressed the physical aspect of my generational curse, but I was unaware that I was subconsciously manifesting negativity through negative habits, like having unprotected sex, drinking, partying, fighting, and abusing my body. My abandonment issues were all tied to my inner childhood wounds. Although I am an adult now, I was unaware that an unhealed inner child is a portal for negative attachments. This is how I believe demonic parasites enter and become generational curses. I have a beautiful looking family. We all have sex appeal. We attract a lot of attention with this attribute. But I did not know my worth, and coupled with a survival mindset at an early age was the perfect recipe for promiscuity. This was my life until I recognized my traumatic, unhealed patterns of people pleasing and not speaking up for myself when I wanted to say no, but afraid of rejection. I started loving myself by removing myself away from toxic people, places, and things. Not having sex, not drinking, watching my abusive patterns like going to bars and hooking up with strangers. These patterns were recognized. And as I recognized these patterns, I prayed on them with the Most High. I gave them to the Most High, and I asked Him to heal me. This took years of conscious effort, along with professional help to heal. Now, I can honestly say that I am officially a generational curse breaker. And as always, I share this experience with you so you can recognize and break the generational curses that may plague you and your family. This has been the Wellness Corner, a platform where we get well or we get well trying. Stay safe, guys.